Well, good morning, everyone tuning in to our K-2 Ports Home Learning Program from California State Parks. We'll get started in just a moment. But up on your screen, you might see this hashtag for Ports Fan Art. We are looking for students who enjoy our programs, who like to draw pictures, or any other type of art. And mom and dad can help you post it, with the hashtag Ports Fan Art. Today, we are at Point Lobos State Natural Reserve, and it might inspire you to become an artist, as it's one of the most beautiful places on the planet, if I do say so. All right, we have hit the 9 o'clock hour, and wonderful. Good morning. My name is Daniel, and I'm a California State Park interpreter. Always super proud to show the patch. The name of the park that we're in, as we just saw, is Point Lobos State Natural Reserve. It's located on the central coast of California, boys and girls, south of San Francisco by a few hours. And if you've ever heard of the town of Monterey, we're close to that. And we're right on the ocean. And today, we get to learn about a forest that not many people really know about. And it's not this incredible forest that we're sitting in right here. It's this forest where this grows. Let me bring this on up to the camera and share it with you. Go ahead and raise your hand if you recognize this curious specimen that we have right here. Bring it right on up to the camera so you can really see it. I see lots of hands going up. Fantastic. Well, turn to the person next to you, or to the walls or the picture or the window or whatever is next to you, and tell them what you think this is, or what you know this is. That's right. Some of you may be saying seaweed, some of you may be saying kelp. And the beauty of that is you're all right, because this is giant kelp, which is a type of seaweed. And today we learn about this very curious life form. Giant kelp. And boys and girls, boy, do we have an action-packed half hour right now for you. So prepare yourselves. What I'd like you to do right now is kind of get relaxed, because we're going to start out with a song. I've gotten our kelp bongo drum all ready to go, and it's going to help us with a song we're going to learn about kelp. Now, I'm going to share with you the words right now so you can sing along if you would like. So let me go ahead and bring up these words to our song. There we go. I'll go ahead and sing it right now, and you can listen if you'd like. Get our bongo drum all ready to go. Okay, here we go. Kelp, it grows in a forest. Kelp, not just any forest. Kelp, it grows in the ocean. Kelp. All right. Some of you may even recognize that song, or mom and dad, or grandma or grandpa. They might recognize this as a song very similar to the Beatles' song, Help. All right. Let's sing this all together, everyone, on the count of 3. When we hear the bongo drum sound, that's when we'll start. 1, 2, 3. Kelp, it grows in a forest. Kelp, not just any forest. Kelp, it grows in the ocean. Kelp. Let's learn a little bit more about kelp in our verse. I'll go ahead and sing this. If you catch on, please feel free to sing along. All right. Giant kelp grows so tall, up to 2 feet in one day. It needs the sun's energy to help it grow its way. Animals like rockfish and abalone make this habitat home, living in this ocean forest as they freely roam. Now let's go back to our chorus. Kelp, it grows in a forest. Kelp, not just any forest. Kelp, it grows in the ocean. Kelp. All right, beautiful. Excellent. I hope you are having as much fun with that song as I am. All right. Now we know a little bit more about kelp. We know that's a forest that grows in the ocean. It can grow fast and tall. It needs that sun's energy in order to grow, and animals live there. It's a habitat, much like a forest on land. Boys and girls, let's learn a little bit more about the kelp forest. I have one of my favorite stories to share with you. It's called The Hidden Forest, and it's by an author named Jeannie Baker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this story with you. I'll read the words on the page and show you the picture so you know what's going on. When we're done with our story, which is very short, we'll take a hike over to where the kelp forest grows and keep our eyes open for wildlife. See what might be flying over the kelp forest or swimming through it. You never know. But for now, let's learn a little bit more about this fantastic place of the giant kelp forest here at Point Lobos. All right. Down in the dark, tangled world of the seaweed, there are big fish and small fish. Ben, he knows that they're there, but time after time, only small fish come up in his fish trap. He wants to catch something much bigger. And this time, when he tries to raise his fish trap, it will not move. And Ben yanks at it with all of his strength. So there we have Ben. Sharp eyes might be able to see those small, tiny fish at the bottom of his boat that he doesn't really seem to care about. And then right over here, kind of the star of the show, the giant kelp. That's the top of it right there. Let's see what happens next. Suddenly, the boat flips from under him and he tumbles into the sea. Ben opens his eyes to a blurry underwater world. He feels the slimy kelp slide over him. He senses dark movement. What was that? Uh-oh. Ben panics. He's afraid some unknown creature will grab at his legs as he scrambles back into the boat. Did he see something? Or was it his imagination? The kelp clings to his oars and won't let him go. Ben eventually rose free of the kelp and calms down. He must recover his trap, but he's gonna need the help of a friend who can dive down to untangle. And he thinks of his friend, Sophie. Sophie, she's a strong diver, and she agrees to help Ben if he'll come with her to explore the world under the waves. All right. So Ben gazes at the surface of the water, but it's like a mirror. He worries about what might be lurking below and cautiously lowers himself into the sea. All right, boys and girls, here we have Ben going into this hidden forest, this underwater world he's kind of afraid to go into. Now, I have a question for you. You can show me by raising your hands. How many of you would do what Ben is doing right now, going into this unknown world with the help of a really good friend to show you the way? And you have to have a bit of a sense of adventure. Oh, excellent. I see lots of spirited and adventurous students out there. Fantastic. Well, for now, we don't have to do that because we're going to find out what happens. But I'm glad that you're excited about what happens in our kelp forest here, because everything's about to change. Get ready. To his surprise, Ben finds himself floating above a mysterious underwater forest that sways back and forth with the rolling of the waves. Prepare yourselves. This is the giant kelp forest. Whoa. Look how small Ben and Sophie look to these giant kelps. In fact, they're so tall that some people compare them to trees. In fact, that's what it says right here in our story. Gigantic golden trees of kelp reach up towards the sun. Shafts of sunlight shimmer in their branches. Ben waits anxiously while Sophie untangles the trap, and at last it's free. Again, we can see how big the giant kelp forest is. And now that they've got that fish trap all loosened up and, retrieved, they're ready to explore. Sophie holds out her hand to Ben to take him to explore the different kelps growing near the rocky shore. Ben holds onto a piece of bull kelp and rides with it as it sways and stretches with the tide. When the kelp touches him this time, it feels like velvet swirling against his skin. All right, got Ben and Sophie exploring the giant kelp forest. Sharp eyes might notice some animals on this rock at the bottom of the forest. Look like sea stars, maybe sea anemones. It's a very artistic book, so we can interpret it as we will. Oh, and then look over here, what you would expect. A school of fish. So yeah, again, just like a forest on land is home and habitat to animals, so is the forest in the ocean. Oh, all right. Now, animals have an adaptation, something that helps them survive in their environment. And this is when an animal blends in with its environment. What do you call that? When an animal blends in with its environment, making it very hard to see. Maybe its predator can't see it, or its prey can't see it, so it can help it survive. I'll wait for a moment. I can hear it echoing through the radio waves or the video waves, whatever we may call them. You're right, adaptation. Camouflage, that's it. What I'm gonna do is I am going to go ahead and bring this photo right on up to the camera. When you see the animal that Ben is looking at in the kelp forest, see his hands right there, he moved a piece of kelp on over, you can go ahead and raise your hand. I'll just bring it right on up to the camera. When you see that camouflaged kelp forest animal, right there. I'm bringing it super close. You could almost touch it. Yes, a crab right there. Camouflaged with the algae on the rock. So a way that this crab survives is camouflaging, blending in with its environment, like so many other animals do as well. Let's see what happens next. Sophie shows Ben how he can hold his breath and dive down into the forest to look for more animals. See all kinds of shapes. And they look right on over here. See a stingray. And then some of you may see those triangle shapes on the stem or the stipe of the giant kelp. And those are sea snails. That's something you would see quite a bit in the kelp forest. Sensing a presence behind him, Ben turns around. And boys and girls, when Ben turns around, look what he sees. Wow. A whale. A whale, watching him closely, glides gently by. Ben is overwhelmed with wonder. Ben and Sophie catch glimpses of its dark, gleaming shape rolling and sliding against the kelp as it passes on around the bay. Let's just take a look at the scene right here, boys and girls. So we've got the boat, we've got the whale, and there's the giant kelp. Now I've got a question for you, and you can raise your hand to answer this. The story never explains what bumps Ben out of his boat. Remember, he sensed dark movement. That's all the clues that they really give us. But raise your hand if you think it could have been the whale that did it. I'm raising my hand. That's what I think too. All right, excellent. We'll never know for sure, but it makes good sense, doesn't it? All right, let's see how this story ends. Together, they pull up the fish trap and they gaze in fascination at what they've caught. But boys and girls, Ben sees things differently now. He sees how wonderful these creatures are here in their mysterious hidden world. He feels like this is where they belong. So he opens up the fish trap and lets all the animals go free. Wow. So, a happy ending for these animals, the octopus and the fish and sea stars and all the rest. They got to go back home. And a happy ending to our story, The Hidden Forest. The end. All right, boys and girls, the time has come to show you where our kelp forest grows here at Point Lobos. We've already got a chance to sing some songs or sing a song about the kelp forest. We've learned a bit more from the story. Now let's go experience it for real. Let me get our camera ready. Here we go. We're gonna go for a hike. So let's go ahead and prepare ourselves. Maybe you need to stretch a little bit. And the hike is really a short walk. But here we go. So come along with me. The sun is shining, but it's still a little bit cold here at Point Lobos. It's about 55 degrees with a kind of a strong north breeze blowing all the time. Feels good, but a bit chilly. That's why you see me in my jacket here. But let's go ahead and take a look at where our kelp forest grows here. All right, students, I present to you our kelp forest, and it grows right here in the Pacific Ocean. Oh, boys and girls. Oh, it just went under, but we'll keep our view down there on the kelp forest. I did see a very curious marine mammal known as the harbor seal. And maybe we'll get a chance to see more of those as we walk along. Now, some of you may be wondering, what are those dark areas below the surface? And others of you are like, I know exactly what that is. That is the giant kelp, the type of seaweed that grows so big and tall and makes a forest here at Point Lobos. Now, off in the distance, it's a little bit too far to see, but I'll bring in our camera just a little bit. And I know that young students like kindergartners through second grade and on up have very sharp observation skills. So when we look out here, you might be able to see some darker areas out in the kelp forest. Now, some of those may be kelp kind of grouped up together, but more often than not, it's a very, very special animal. We're a little too far to really tell, but let me show you the animal that I'm talking about. It's the sea otter. They live here in the kelp forest. They get everything that they need. Their food, their shelter, it's where they raise their families. Now, what we're looking out at this kelp forest is also a marine protected area, boys and girls. So this is a safety zone for all the animals and plants or algae that live in it and happen to cross into its boundaries. And what that means is we don't hunt, fish, or collect anything here. We want to make sure that these animals and seaweeds have what they need in order to grow, thrive, reproduce, and build their populations. This animal that we're looking at right here, the sea otter, is a threatened species on the endangered species list, which means that it needs our help. We're going to make sure that it gets what it needs so it can help build up its population and hopefully won't be an endangered species anymore. That's what we're hoping for. All right, now come along with me this way. There's something over here that I'm hoping we'll get a chance to see. It's another animal that depends upon our kelp forest here at Point Lobos, as well as other kelp forests too. So we'll walk on over here. In fact, go ahead and you can walk along with me. See where we're going. Okay, I'll put down our camera right on over here. Something happens here every April and May. and it's absolutely fantastic. There's a group of marine mammals that usually live out in our kelp forest. They come up onto the beach to care for their young. It's the harbor seal, and I do see one right down here. Let's go ahead and switch our camera. Look at that sweet little baby harbor seal right there. Not very old, maybe a couple of days old, if that. Now, mama might be, oh, here we've got something happening right over here. Let's take a look. Harbor seal swimming in the ocean. There it goes. Wow. Now, so let's get back to that little baby. We call baby harbor seals pups. And mom could be behind the rock. Oh, let's go ahead and get that in better focus. Mom might be behind the rock, or she might be out in the kelp forest getting food. Mama has to have a lot of nutrients because she's producing milk for baby to drink and fatten up so it can survive out in the ocean in the kelp forest. You might be able to hear it's crying. Just like when we were babies. We cried if mama maybe wasn't right next to us. But it's wonderful to be able to provide this habitat for these animals and continue their life cycles. Let's move over here to see if there's anything else down on the beach. It is high tide, so there's not much room. So we're lucky to see that wonderful little pup right down there. Oh gosh. Harbor seals are much better adapted to living in the ocean than to being on land. They're kind of awkward on land. But in the ocean, they can swim fast, catch their food with their mouths. And here in our kelp forest, there seems to be a lot of food for these animals. And the harbor seals live here year-round, boys and girls. They're not migrating from far away to come here. They're generally from this region here. So fantastic. And so watching this baby harbor seals really has a lot to do with what Point Lobos is all about, protecting our land and our oceans. Not just for today, but forever. And that's why I'm in your homes today. And thank you, by the way, for letting me bring the parks to your home to share with you what we do here and make sure they have what they need in order to survive. So part of it is providing the physical habitat and then education, letting people know about these things. Because if you don't know about them, you can't care about them. And you can't protect something you don't know or care about. All right. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and take a look right down here. All right, come with me this way. Two other things to share with you. Okay, take a short walk over this way. Follow me this way, everyone. And I also want to let you know that while many California state parks are still closed, including Point Lobos, we can't wait to reopen and see you here. So please put Point Lobos on your list of places to come visit once our current situation of COVID-19 has passed and it's safe to open up the parks and explore. So again, I'm very thankful that you're in your shelter in place at home and that I get a chance to bring the parks to you. All right, kind of whet your appetite, plant a seed for when you can come and visit us. Now, there's a lot of different animals in the kelp forest. And before we go and finish our program with that great song that we started out with, let's take a look at some of the animals that we might find in our kelp forest, besides the harbor seal and besides the sea otter. You might be surprised to learn that over 1,000 different animals depend upon the kelp forest for some part of their life. And here we have a great sample of some of those animals. Look at the variety, or what we like to say, biodiversity, the different types of animals, from sea stars, octopus, and of course, lots of fish. Sharks. Raise your hand if you're fascinated by sharks. Yeah, I am, for sure. The leopard shark is one that we would find in our kelp forest. About 5 feet long, kind of swimming along the open areas of the kelp forest, looking for crabs and clams. And you can see why it's called the leopard shark. Check out those spots. Now, the blue shark would probably be much more of a visitor coming in, looking for something to eat, perhaps. Oh, we saw that bat ray in our story. And that's what we were seeing right down on the beach, the harbor seal. So you can see, when we protect the kelp forest, we're protecting what these animals need right here. And it's absolutely fascinating and wonderful. All right. So you can see that the kelp forest is an exciting place full of life. And I want to thank you for joining me for this song and story and exploration of Point Lobos. I would like to end our time together right back where we started, playing the kelp bongo drum and singing our song Kelp. You're a bit more familiar with it, so maybe you'll sing it super loud so everybody in the house can enjoy it. All right, so go ahead. We'll bring it right on over here, our camera. Warm up our kelp bongo drum. And I'll go ahead and put the lyrics back up on the screen so you can sing along as well. All right, there we have it. So when you hear, after the count of 3, the pounding of the kelp bongo drum, that's when we'll start singing. Clear those throats. Deep breath. And here we go. 1, 2, 3. Kelp, it grows in a forest. Kelp, not just any forest. Kelp, it grows in the ocean. Kelp. Beautiful. Let's try and sing our verse together. All right. Giant kelp grows so tall, up to 2 feet in one day. It needs the sun's energy to help it grow its way. Animals like rockfish and abalone make this habitat home, living in this ocean forest as they freely roam. Kelp, it grows in a forest. Kelp, not just any forest. Kelp, it grows in the ocean. Kelp. Ah, beautiful. Thank you so much for singing along with me, hopefully learning a new song and some really great information about this fascinating organism that we can find in our oceans, the giant kelp. Boys and girls, it has been a pleasure to share Point Lobos and its kelp forest with you. Please raise your hand if you've enjoyed yourself this last half hour. I'm going to raise my hand too, because I had a lot of fun too. Excellent. Now, some of you may have been inspired to draw a picture or create something out of clay or whatever, or paint, whatever it may be. If you are so inspired by our program here and the beauty of Point Lobos or California state parks in general, there's something